Have you ever pondered what would have happened if India never became a nuclear power? In the grand scheme of humanity's history, the dawn of the nuclear age was a relatively recent event. It was a time of awe and fear, a period that marked the transition from traditional warfare to a power so potent it could obliterate civilizations in the blink of an eye. The inception of the nuclear age can be traced back to the early 20th century, when scientists first discovered the phenomenon that would forever change the world: nuclear fission. This groundbreaking discovery, the splitting of an atom's nucleus into two smaller nuclei, unleashed a source of energy far more powerful than any known to mankind before. Fast forward a few years to the late 1930s, when the first controlled nuclear chain reaction was achieved. This seminal event marked the birth of nuclear power and opened up a Pandora's box of possibilities, both constructive and destructive. The global nuclear scenario before India's entry was a tense one. The world was divided into nuclear haves and have-nots, with a handful of countries wielding the power of the atom and the rest living under the shadow of this formidable force. The United States, Russia, the United Kingdom, France and China were the gatekeepers of this exclusive club, each possessing an arsenal of nuclear weapons that could spell doom for the planet. For nations like India, which were in the throes of post-colonial reconstruction, the nuclear question was a complex one. On one hand, there was the allure of harnessing the immense power of the atom for peaceful purposes, such as energy generation and medical research. On the other hand, there was the fear of nuclear weapons proliferation and the potential devastation it could bring. With this backdrop, India took its first steps towards becoming a nuclear power. India's journey to becoming a nuclear power was a feat of scientific achievement and political will. It was a path tread with careful steps, marked by resilience and a profound commitment to national security and self-reliance. The inception of this journey can be traced back to as early as 1948, when the Atomic Energy Commission was established under the leadership of Homi J. Bhabha. The Commission was the cornerstone of India's nuclear program. Its primary objective was to harness the power of the atom for peaceful purposes, like energy production. But the turning point came in May 1974. India conducted its first peaceful nuclear explosion, codenamed Smiling Buddha. This event was a clear manifestation of India's scientific prowess. But more than that, it was a testament to the country's unwavering determination to establish itself as a major player on the global stage. Fast forward to May 1998, a defining moment in India's nuclear journey. The series of nuclear tests conducted at Pokhran under the codename Operation Shakti marked India's emergence as a full-fledged nuclear power. These tests, conducted with utmost secrecy and precision, demonstrated India's advanced technological capabilities and strategic acumen. However, the journey was not without its challenges. India faced international criticism and sanctions. Yet, the country stood firm, driven by its commitment to maintain strategic autonomy. The nuclear tests of 1998 were not just about demonstrating power, but also about asserting India's right to self-defense. The journey to nuclear power was a complex interplay of science, politics and diplomacy. It reshaped India's international image, elevating the country to a new level of global significance. This journey also underscored India's commitment to using nuclear power responsibly, for peaceful purposes and national security. In the end, India's journey to nuclear power was one that commanded respect and recognition from around the world. It was a journey that had significant implications for India and the world. Now, let's delve into an alternate reality, one where India never went nuclear. Envision an India without the atomic symbol proudly adorning its scientific and military achievements. This alternate India wouldn't have the nuclear deterrence it possesses today. In a region marked by geopolitical tensions, the absence of a nuclear arsenal could potentially expose India to threats and conflicts that could escalate without the fear of nuclear retaliation. Without nuclear deterrence, India's diplomacy and international standing would have followed a different trajectory, perhaps one less assertive and influential on the global stage. On the scientific front, nuclear technology hasn't only been about weapons, it's also about energy. India's nuclear power program has contributed significantly to the country's energy mix. Without nuclear energy, India would have had to rely more heavily on fossil fuels, causing a spike in greenhouse gas emissions and exacerbating climate change. The absence of nuclear power would also have meant less diversification of energy sources, making India more vulnerable to fluctuations in international oil and gas markets. But it's not just about energy. Nuclear technology plays a crucial role in areas like healthcare and agriculture. From cancer treatment to mutation breeding, the benefits of nuclear science are far-reaching. Without these advancements, India's progress in these fields would have been slower, affecting millions of lives. Yet it's also worth noting that a non-nuclear India may have avoided the risks associated with nuclear technology. The spectre of nuclear accidents, radioactive waste management, and the enormous costs involved in maintaining a nuclear arsenal and infrastructure, these are the challenges that India has had to grapple with as a nuclear power. In this alternate reality, India would have taken a different path, one shaped by different challenges and opportunities. The absence of nuclear power would have undeniably shaped a different India. The question is, would it have been better or worse? That's an answer left to the realms of speculation and debate. The absence of nuclear power would have undeniably shaped a different India. The decision to go nuclear wasn't confined within India's borders, it sent ripples across the globe. Now, let's delve into the ripple effect of India's hypothetical non-nuclear status. What could have been the international implications? The answer is multifaceted and complex, much like a stone thrown into a pond, causing endless ripples. Firstly, the regional balance of power. India's nuclear capability has always been a significant counterweight in the South Asian geopolitical landscape. Without it, the regional power dynamics would have been drastically different, potentially affecting peace and stability. Consider a seesaw, perfectly balanced. Remove one weight and the balance tips. That's what the South Asian region might have looked like. A teetering seesaw with the potential for conflict much higher. Next, we come to nuclear non-proliferation treaties. India's nuclear tests in 1974 and 1998 were watershed moments that shook the foundations of global nuclear policy. They highlighted the limitations of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty and led to the creation of the Nuclear Suppliers Group. If India had never gone nuclear, these significant policy shifts might not have occurred, leaving the world with a potentially less robust system to prevent nuclear proliferation. Lastly, let's talk about global nuclear politics. India's nuclear power status has influenced international relations, negotiations and alliances. Its unique position as a nuclear-armed state outside the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty has raised critical questions about fairness and equity in global nuclear governance. Without India's nuclear power status, these important debates might never have come to the fore, potentially leaving the global nuclear order unchallenged and unchanged. So you see, the ripples of India's decision to go nuclear stretched far and wide, influencing regional dynamics, shaping global policies, and sparking important debates. The world, as we know it, might have been quite different. So, what can we deduce from this thought experiment? We've journeyed through the dawn of the nuclear age and witnessed India's arduous path to becoming a nuclear power. We've speculated on the alternate reality, a world where India chose not to go nuclear. And we've pondered the ripple effects of such a monumental decision. In this alternate universe where India remains a non-nuclear power, we conjectured a geopolitical landscape significantly different from the one we know today. India's position on the world stage, its security dynamics, and its relationships with other global powers would have taken a different trajectory. The absence of nuclear deterrence could have left India vulnerable to threats and coercion, altering the balance of power in South Asia. It could have also affected India's standing in international diplomacy, perhaps relegating it to a less influential role. On the flip side, we considered potential positive outcomes. India might have invested more in renewable energy, leading the way in sustainable development. It could have also created a precedent for non-proliferation, influencing other nations to follow suit. But it's not all black and white. The equation of power and influence is complex, and the absence of nuclear power doesn't necessarily equate to weakness or irrelevance. There are multiple pathways to global influence, and nuclear power is just one of them. In reality, India's decision to become a nuclear power was a strategic move, made in the context of its unique geopolitical circumstances. It has shaped India's security policies, its international relations, and its global standing. It is a part of India's identity as a nation. While we can only hypothesize, one thing is certain: India's decision to become a nuclear power has indelibly shaped its destiny and the world at large. This thought experiment has hopefully offered a fresh perspective on the complex interplay of power, diplomacy, and decision-making. It's a reminder of the weight that these decisions carry, the ripples they create, and the indelible marks they leave on the sands of time.